Yo, yo, yo! Another day, another dollar. Welcome to the show, everybody. Smells Like Wrasslin, episode 47. Jeez, 47 episodes. I can't believe it. Eric, host of the show, obviously. Coming at you every week from Long Island, New York. Here to give you the update on Dynamite and this week's wrestling news. If I sound a little weird, yes, I am extremely under the weather right now. I've been fighting something for the last few days, so I apologize if I am not at my best. I'll try and mute the coughs and the sneezes so they don't come up on the mic. But, let me lower this a bit. Anywho, welcome to the show, everybody. A lot to talk about. A lot of stuff has gone on in the last week. We had Rampage from last week. We had SmackDown from last week. We had Raw this week. We had Wrestle Kingdom, which was today. All of which we're going to talk about tonight. And then we're going to cap off the stream with the Dynamite review for tonight's episode of Dynamite. So a lot of stuff to go through. And being that I'm sick as a dog, I want to try and not dilly-dally and get into this right away. So, things to make note of. Number one, on SmackDown, they announced Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight in a pitch black match. Apparently, this is based off of the Mountain Dew drink Pitch Black, because Mountain Dew is sponsoring this particular match. It is going to be called the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. So that's going to happen. I'm curious as to what the heck a Pitch Black match is. In that promo, Uncle Howdy hits Bray with a Sister Abigail and lays him out. Mr. Howdy, or Uncle Howdy, whatever the fuck his name is, who we all assumed is associated with Bray, is aligned with Bray, is teaming with Bray, but apparently that's not the case. That is not the case at all. They're doing an IC title match on the 13th of January. Gunther versus Braun Strowman for the title. They had Charlotte come back. Ronda beat what the hell's that girl's name? I think they call her Raquel Rodriguez now. They don't call her Raquel Gonzalez anymore. So Raquel Rodriguez loses the SmackDown Women's title match against Ronda Rousey. As soon as the match is over, Charlotte comes out, challenges her for the belt. Ronda, like a moron, agrees, and Charlotte wins. And now she's a 14-time women's champion. There has not been a year in the last 10 years that Charlotte Flair hasn't won a women's title. Like, that's insane. She has the title at least once a year for the last almost decade. That's wild. But that just shows you that the women's division is fucking devoid of all talent. There's like 4 people who they want to give the belt to. And since they haven't built up anybody, when they give someone the belt who's outside of those 4 people, it's always fucking weird. Like when they gave it to Liv Morgan, that was awful. That was a bad idea. They took that off of her quick. John Cena returned on SmackDown. And teamed up with Kevin Owens and won the match against Sami and Roman. This led to the Bloodline destroying Raw in the set of Raw as Raw kicked off on Monday. Adam Pearce ended up setting them all up with matches. Solo Sikoa fought Elias in a Nashville Music City match where they were just beating the shit out of each other with like guitars and all this stuff. A lot of shit. What else? What the hell else happened on that show? The Street Profits teamed up with Kevin Owens to fight the Usos and Sami Zayn, in which the Usos and Sami Zayn won. So the Bloodline goes undefeated the entire show on Raw. Hello, Eric, it's me. That username I'm not familiar with. But hello. Someone who knows me who is watching. Oh, it's Bubby. Hello, Bubby. Can't believe you're actually watching. My Bubby is watching. So props to my Bubby in the chat. We got Wrestle Kingdom was very early this morning. Started at about 1:20 Eastern Standard Time. I stayed up until about, maybe about 4 o'clock to try and watch it. I got as far as the FTR match, and I had to go to sleep. So I ended up catching up with the latter half of the show later on that morning. I got a couple of hours of sleep and ended up watching it. The both tag matches on the show were incredible. Let me see if I can find my notes. All right, so the junior title match was awesome. Hiromu Takahashi wins the junior title. He pins Master Wato with the time bomb. I really thought that they were going to give the title to Master Wato, but they did not end up giving it to him. They ended up giving it to Takahashi. That included the champion, who was Taiji Ishimori, and El Desperado. Ishimori held the title for about almost 300 days. He defeated Desperado back at like Wrestling Dontaku back May 1st. The emoji with the cat, of course. Zack Sabre Jr. becomes the first New Japan World Television Champion. He submitted Ren Narita in a pretty quick match. Sabre ended up being confronted by Shane Hast and Mikey Nichols of TMDK. They held up a shirt, and Sabre teased he was going to throw the shirt into the crowd. He puts it on, and now he is part of TMDK, so he's part of that trio now. They had an amazing match. It was Kenny Omega defeats Will Ospreay to capture the IWGP United States title. That was a phenomenal match. Kenny Omega beat the living shit out of Will Ospreay. Like, that was a brutal match. I'm only assuming that they are going to run it back, and he ends up beating Omega. I assume Omega's going to hold on to the title until maybe the next Forbidden Door. It's a possibility. So that would be a great night or a great pay-per-view to do that rematch and have them run it back, especially since you haven't done Zack Sabre Jr. versus Bryan Danielson, or the heavily rumored Shibata versus Bryan Danielson. So that would be pretty cool. So I'm excited to see that. We had Tama Tonga defeats the Machine Gun Carl Anderson to recapture the never openweight title. Carl Anderson obviously under contract with WWE. There was a lot of conflict and controversy going on with his contract and whether or not he was able to defend the title on some sort of semi-regular basis. Obviously, it looks like he's not able to. That's why they had Tama Tonga take the belt off of him. There was, oh my God, there was another, FTR drops the IWGP tag titles, which I think leaves them with no titles, because if I'm not mistaken, I think they already lost the AAA tag team titles. 100% props to Tama Tonga for winning a singles title, especially like the never openweight title. Royal makes a good point. I love Tama Tonga. He's awesome as a singles wrestler. He's awesome as a tag team. I wish that I would see more of GOD outside of New Japan. I'm hoping that they're a tag team that I see come into Forbidden Door 2, if there ever is one, which I really hope that there is. So I'm all for that. I'm all for that completely. Kazuchika Okada beats Jay White to reclaim the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. So the Switchblade now has no belt. I wonder if that also frees him up to be a part of Forbidden Door. I mean, he was a part of the last one, so maybe not. There's so many dream matches they could do between the roster that AEW / Ring of Honor has and New Japan Pro Wrestling. And add the fact that New Japan Pro Wrestling now has Stardom, which they now introduced Sasha Banks, who is now known as Mercedes Moné. She cut a horrible promo, and she botched her finisher, which she hit on Kairi Sane, who successfully defended the IWGP Women's Belt. So, I don't know. I don't know where that's gonna go. I'm assuming Sasha's gonna win that belt. She's supposed to be fighting Kairi at Battle in the Valley in a couple of weeks. So that's a match that's gonna happen. My assumption is we don't see her on AEW television until she's holding that gold belt. I think it adds more impact to her debut. Like, yes, she's Sasha Banks. Yes, she's from WWE. Yes, she's a big star. But I think her coming in with the Stardom belt, I think really, like, is the cherry on top to that introduction. Because then she could have, like, I don't want her to, I think she could have meaningful matches with the title. And obviously, since she's not gonna be dropping that belt to anyone in AEW, you could book her in matches where she should win. Even if she's faced with someone who you think should go over Sasha, it would still be a good match for them to have the belt. And Sasha, in the event, puts over, the Stardom Women's title, the IWGP Women's title, has a good match and puts over whatever AEW talent in the process by, you're bringing them to a great match. So I'm very curious as to see what the future has in store for Mercedes Moné in New Japan and elsewhere, because she is a free agent. She is not with WWE. She sent out tweets saying thank you. She is officially free to do whatever the hell that she wants to do. She was one of the rare people who walked out and got it out of her contract, and they didn't hold her over a barrel or in some like contract limbo hell for months and months and months. So I am 100% glad that she's free and clear, and I'm curious to see if she's still got it, if she can still wrestle. She hasn't been around for a while. I think her best body of work in terms of wrestling was in NXT. I do not feel like her main roster run was very well representative of what she's capable of as a wrestler. I mean, sure, they threw her a bunch of titles and she got matches at Mania. To me, honestly, I don't give a shit about any of that, because it was under the Vince regime, and anything Vince gave to anybody, to me, it doesn't really hold that much weight with me, because he was a terrible booker and he was a terrible judge of talent in the latter half of his career. So I don't understand why I should give anyone a pat on the back for any accomplishments they had in the last, 20 years in WWE, because Vince was off of his fucking rocker. I mean, for goodness sakes, they gave Liv Morgan the title. They completely screwed up the Becky Lynch storyline by shoehorning Charlotte in there. Now, like, that time has passed. Like, Becky and Ronda fighting no longer has that feeling again. They're never going to recapture that magic. I'm sorry. The time to have pulled the trigger on that was right then and there. And Charlotte should have taken a step back for the company's sake so that they could have done big money with Becky and Ronda. And it's not like Charlotte would have never got a shot in the future. She would have always gotten a shot. She's Charlotte Flair. But that was the time to pull the trigger on Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch, because now nobody cares. Becky was gone for too long of a period of time. She comes back and pins Bianca in 2 seconds. Then she goes on this ridiculous, then they recreate her character to just be this ridiculous moron. And I want to see a new Sasha. I want to see NXT Sasha Banks. I want to see NXT Sasha Banks that hits a little bit harder and has a little bit more machismo and go in there and kills it. I don't know what the hell happened in that promo. I never thought she was a fantastic promo. I always thought that she had a very hard time pronouncing anything. Like, I don't know if it's an accent. I don't know if it's a speech impediment, but she sounds very awkward whenever she talks. It's the way that the words come out of her mouth is weird. And like, it was way more apparent in this very short New Japan promo. She was like, Battle Valley. It was just like, I don't know what the fuck was going on. But, I just want to see her go in the ring. Say less, wrestle more. That's all I care about. I want to go, and I don't think I gave this match enough credit in last week's episode, but Hikaru Shida and Jamie Hayter was one of the best women's matches I've seen in a really, really long time. Those women beat the shit out of each other. The crowd was perfect and added to it in all the ways that you wanted a crowd to add to the match. They were hot at the right moments. They cheered at the right moments. It was just a perfect storm for a women's match. I thought it was fantastic. I think every match that Hayter has had regarding the AEW Women's title, starting from her match with Toni Storm at Full Gear, has been awesome. I am really hoping that this starts a trend for some really good, hard-hitting title matches from Jamie Hayter. I don't like the fact that she's still kind of saddled with Britt. I do think that that title run can only be made legitimate if she beats Britt Baker. And then she breaks off from her. I think as a champion, I think it says more that she stands alone, that she talks for herself. They have Britt talk for her way too much. Way too much. I think that I think that Jamie, the thing that will legitimize her title reign, aside from hard-hitting title matches, which she's already had two, one in which she won the title and one in which she defended it, I think that it needs to have her beating Britt clean in the middle of the ring, and, have Rebel interfere, and she still kicks out. Jamie needs to have that victory over Britt. And I think it needs to be for the belt. I think that legitimizes Jamie even more than her title win. It should make the AEW only audience, the ones who just watch AEW and don't watch anything else. It will increase Jamie's legitimacy, I think, in the eyes of that fan base, in my opinion, because they want Jamie to beat the shit out of people. And I think the same crowd that has been chanting for Jamie to have the title win is the same crowd that always chants for Jamie to turn on Britt and to break loose from her and go babyface. So I think it's hopefully it's only a matter of time, but I do think that Jamie Hayter's title reign needs a separation from Britt Baker. And then there needs to be a healthy amount of time that she's defending the belt without Britt Baker around at all. Excuse me, guys. I'm sorry. I am holding on as best I can. So that was a fantastic match. I don't think I gave it enough credit last week, so I'm giving it even more credit now. I have turned the corner on Alpha Academy. Thank you. Love those guys. I mean, I'm still pissed off that fucking Otis beat the American Okada, Johnny Gargano, the greatest wrestler alive, the greatest wrestler ever, the guy who should have every single title belt right now. That guy? Yeah. But they won over on me. It's a funny gimmick. I like it. I see what Jordan sees in them. So, I'm a Alpha Academy guy now. Alexa Bliss stomped a mud hole in Bianca Belair. She saw like an Uncle Howdy mask in the crowd and then just bugged out and went feral and just annihilated her and got herself disqualified. Because she beat the shit out of the ref too. So, yeah. I mean, I can't think of anything else that I think was newsworthy since the last several days. So, with that being said, let's jump into our Dynamite review. Dynamite with a brand new intro, brand new stage, new year, new me look for Dynamite. I think that's perfect. They need to wash the stench of 2022 off of this company. 2022 was the roughest year in the 3-year history of this company. Between Cody leaving, Mox going to rehab, half of their roster getting injured, the other half being disgruntled or suspended or shit-talking online or having their significant others shit-talk for them online, CM Punk getting suspended, the Elite being suspended because of that fight after All Out, MJF no-showing an autograph signing, and who knows if that was under contract or if that was storyline or not. No one's really said, but yeah, it was not a great optics year for AEW. Did they have some great matches? Yes, we got to see the rise of Konosuke Takeshita. We got to see Jon Moxley put on incredible matches, carrying the flag for the company after Punk had left twice, because Punk was actually injured for half the year, which also threw a lot of those storylines out of whack. So it was a very rough year for AEW. It was a rough year for them ratings wise. It wasn't a rough year for them money wise. They made their money last year, my friends. Despite everything, they made money. And not gonna lie, WWE, even though they were fucking dog shit for the last couple of decades, WWE still made money hand over fist, even though their product was garbage. So I am not surprised that AEW, even though they had a rough year, was still making money. And if they get a good TV deal at the end of this year, going into 2024, they stand to make even more money. So, we will see what goes on with that. It should be a very interesting year. I think if people could stay healthy, I think if Tony could wise up and make smart decisions when it comes to the roster and the booking and business and who he brings in, I think it could be a great year for AEW. I think there's always a chance that the Elite and Punk could, kiss and make up. I think Punk coming back would make great business. I think the legacy of CM Punk needs for him to come back and make good with AEW and leave there on good terms. I think that you don't want his last, the guy has been let go from from the two biggest North American promotions that are out there. He got fired from WWE, and and we still don't know what's going on with his contract. People are saying he was looking to get it bought out. They're far apart on the money. We have no idea what's going on. They've been very tight-lipped with everything, but they need to figure that shit out. They need to figure that shit out because money can be made if he comes back. You know what I mean? So, will he come back? I have no idea. Do I think he's going to come back? My gut says no. I think you have to be very optimistic to think that he's coming back. The guy publicly embarrassed the company. And then not only that, the void that he left, it cost them in the ratings and it cost them with viewership, and it might have cost them some fans as well. And I think that the damage that he did can only be undone if he comes back and does good business with them. But the last two companies he's been a part of, he has not left on the best of terms. And for a guy who says he's the best in the world, for a guy who people claim should be a future Hall of Famer, I just don't know whether or not the negative outweighs the positive. I mean, he has been as much of a positive impact and he's as equal as a detriment to both those promotions. I think that his legacy, I think that his image needs for him to come back. Because regardless about how he felt with Hangman Page, him at a press conference was not the place to air that fucking shit out. They should have had some sort of talk between himself, Hangman, the EVPs, and Tony, and they should have dealt with the closed doors. But Punk acted like a fucking cunt that night. So, if he's at home and not wrestling and he never comes back and his image is tarnished, he got what he fucking deserved, in my opinion. Because what he wasn't professional. And to be quite honest, I don't think any of the fans would have had two shits of an idea as to what Hangman meant by that promo at all. Everything was speculation until people started talking about it. Now, you could blame wrestling media also for stoking the fire with their speculation stuff. But, I mean, at the end of the day, Punk is responsible for his own actions. So, AEW needs a good 2023. To make a long story short, AEW needs a good 2023 because 2022 was shit for them. I feel like I have to sneeze, but it'll take me forever to have it come out. And I'm not about to be on camera with my head up in the air, my mouth open, just trying to get this sneeze out. So I'm hoping it just sneaks up on me. Christ almighty. All right, let's get through this. Let's see. So, the start of the night, Ricky Starks defeats Chris Jericho. Jericho on a 2-match losing streak now, losing to Action Andretti and now losing to Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks deserved this win. Ricky Starks needed this win. I don't know what's going to happen. I feel because the end of the match ended with the JAS giving both him and Action Andretti a beatdown. So, I can only assume that this isn't over. But normally, when you feud with the JAS, like the end-all, be-all of it is beating Jericho because he's their guy. But they started this off with Jericho losing. So either this is going to end with Jericho winning again, or this is going to end very quickly in a tag match in the next couple of weeks with Jericho losing one more time, and then maybe they dissolve the JAS. Maybe he goes away for a while. Who knows? Who knows? But Ricky Starks deserved the win. Jericho has only lost to less than 10 individual people in AEW. He's lost to Orange Cassidy. He's lost to MJF. He's lost to Jon Moxley. He's lost to Action Andretti. He's lost now to Ricky Starks. And I'm trying to think if he's lost to anybody else, but I don't believe so. He never lost to Omega in AEW. Yeah, so technically, Jericho's only lost to 5 individual people in the 3 years he's been a part of AEW. So I think that anybody who beats Jericho, it's a big fucking deal. Because that dude does not lose on television very often. Let's see. At the, then they put Starks through a table at the end. After that, Shivani welcomes us back from the break. He brings Adam, he introduces Hangman Adam Page to the ring. Tony mentions that Jon Moxley is challenging Adam Page next week at the Forum. Page said as of today, he's not medically cleared to compete. So due to the concussion that he got from Moxley, they're saying that he's not eligible to compete. He said he looked at the doctor, and basically the doctor told him that if he could stay away from any fighting from now until the Forum, by that Dynamite, he will be cleared to wrestle, and he will fight Moxley in the Forum in Los Angeles next week. Moxley came out, said he was surprised that Page was even there tonight. He said he's sick of the sympathy cards. He's sick of the candlelight vigils. He's like, what happened was a very simple and beautiful thing. I knocked you out. That's the business that we're in. But everyone's making such a big deal because, oh, Hangman got knocked out. He's basically trying to downplay the fact that... Excuse me. He's basically trying to downplay the fact that Hangman got knocked the fuck out. Page said that Moxley was threatened. He's got 2 in the chamber and he's got Moxley's name on him. He's going to take his shot at the Forum. Moxley said that Page's punk ass doesn't belong in the ring with them, and next week he's going to make sure he doesn't get back up. Pretty solid standoff. There was a portion of the time where the mic wasn't working. Moxley dropped a couple of F-bombs. So I guess like the mic for television was working, but the house mic, the house speakers weren't working, so the live audience couldn't hear anything Moxley was saying, but, you know, that happened. So, I guess they had to delay because they did a very poor job of bleeping it out, but it did happen. Next match, AEW tag belts were on the line. The Acclaimed defeated Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal to defend the AEW tag titles. It got to a point where it got a little crazy. They had Satnam Singh interact or interfere. The refs kicked him out. They try and pin Caster. Caster puts his leg on the rope. Sanjay Dutt pushes the foot off of the rope. The ref didn't see, calls the bell. They almost crowned Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal the new AEW tag champs. Audrey comes out, says that it was Sanjay that moved the foot. They restart the match, and it is the Acclaimed that end up coming away with the victory. So, they don't do the false finishes very often, so very interesting use of the false finish. It got the crowd. They were hyped when it got restarted, and even more hyped that the Acclaimed won. So, I was totally okay with the ending. Thought it was a solid match. The next segment was Tony Schiavone. He was interviewing Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker about their match at the Forum next week against Saraya. Baker and Hayter called themselves AEW Originals. Basically said that Saraya doesn't get it. They work their way up to the top, while Saraya, despite being friends with Sheeta and Toni Storm, can't make the decision on who her partner is. Baker called Hater the killer, and she called herself the pillar. And I think I thought that was that was pretty clever. Jungle Boy's backstage. He said he never thought he would have someone have his back again, but it looks like Hook haven't had his back. He challenges Big Bill and Lee Moriarty to a tag match next week in Jack Perry's hometown of Los Angeles. He's a Cali boy, so it looks like it's going to be Hook and Jungle Boy versus Big Bill and Lee Moriarty next week on Dynamite. Bryan Danielson defeats Long Island's own Tony Nese. Huge ovation for Danielson in his hometown of Washington. He beats Tony Nese pretty handedly. This led to a very lengthy promo segment between Danielson and MJF, setting up their eventual match at Revolution. Danielson, after the match, said it was great to be home. He's feeling a bit froggy. He's ready for another fight. He calls out MJF to fight. MJF comes out, red suit, Burberry belt, and Burberry scarf in hand. MJF declines the challenge. He said he's a special attraction who he doesn't wrestle because he doesn't have to wrestle. He only wrestles when he needs to. He says if Lance Storm and Dean Malenko could have a child, they'd be more charismatic than Danielson. He said MJF, he basically said that Danielson looks like a goat, and he wouldn't be surprised if his mother back in 1981 opted for a goat instead of a human suitor. Danielson said the boys in the back talk about how many suitors MJF's mother had, and even folks in the crowd were her suitor as well. So basically, he said that MJF's mom is like the village bicycle. Everyone gets a ride. MJF said that the title around his waist is what makes him the best in the world. Runs down marks who had never wrestled. MJF said guys in the business like Disco Inferno, Eric Bischoff, and Jim Cornette have called him the best in the world. Danielson said it's time to fight. He hates MJF. MJF runs off. MJF said if Danielson wants a title shot, he's going to have to become number one contender, which means he's going to have to wrestle every week from now until February 8th, and he'll get the title shot. Danielson said he's just going to wrestle whenever he wants and get the shot when he earns it. MJF said Tony Khan and the EVPs don't run the company. He does. Danielson finally agrees to MJF's terms, only if Danielson could pick the stipulation for the match. MJF said fine, and he said he'll cheat in front of the ref, and MJF said it's going to be a 60-minute Iron Man match. So he's going to put MJF through a fucking crucible to see if he can pull off a victory. I mean, obviously MJF is going to win, but it should be a very interesting professional wrestling match between MJF and Bryan Danielson. 1 hour Iron Man match for Revolution. We are expected to see a Danielson match every week until February the 8th. So make sure this stipulation is met. So we'll see what happens. Swerve Strickland, when Mogul Affiliates defeats AR Fox in an incredible match. These guys had great chemistry since Lucha Underground, so I'm not surprised that they had a great match this week. Fantastic match. Ends with the Swerve Stomp. Swerve for the win in his hometown. I thought that was a great match. Backstage, they got Renee Paquette. She's with Saraya, Toni Storm, and Hikaru Shida. Saraya says she's not surprised with what Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter have been saying. Saraya says she's happy with that they've been trending every week. She knows everyone's been questioning about who her partner would be. Saraya said that it's going to be one of the best from the AEW roster. Toni Storm. Shida looked a little offended at that because Shida was sitting right there, and you just see freaking Saraya just call Toni Storm the greatest there. I mean, Shida was champion first and one of the longest reigning champions, so that was definitely meant as a jab at Shida. So it looks like it's going to be Saraya and Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker. I felt like this made Saraya and Storm look like a bunch of assholes. They're supposed to be the faces, so I don't know if you want your faces to look like assholes. I don't know what this means for Shida. Does she stay babyface? Does she take this slight and go heel on them? I'm not 100% certain, but we'll see. But if I were them, I'm glad that they had said who the mystery partner was, because rumors were running rampant that it was going to be Sasha Banks, a.k.a. Mercedes Moné, and I'm pretty sure those rumors ramped up after her appearance at Wrestle Kingdom. So they had to do something. This was their last chance to set expectations before they got a crowd in the forum chanting for Sasha, and she wasn't there. It's a very strong possibility that same crowd will still chant for Sasha during that match. So that tag match might be in some trouble. All right, I got to get through this quick because I'm fading out. Gun Club comes to the ring. They have basically a wake for FTR. FTR's pretty much lost all their belts at this moment. Gun Club actually beat FTR recently, even though they didn't beat them clean. They did beat them. So FTR is definitely another champion, or another high-end guy that AEW has aside from Jericho. That's on a losing streak right now. Jade Cargill teams up with Red Velvet. They defeat Sky Blue and Kiera Hogan. This really was just a setup. Red Velvet leaving the baddies, so it's really only Layla Gray with Jade Cargill now. I think that was the last match of the night before the tag title match. Yeah. So the main event tonight, Darby Allin defeats Samoa Joe in a fantastic match. They get the hardcore stuff and the Darby stunt stuff out of the way in the beginning of the match before the bell. After the bell, it was just Joe just torturing people like he normally does and brutalizing Darby. Who Darby is, he could take massive amounts of pain, so they did a ton of crap on Darby. This ended with a code red and 2 coffin drops for the victory. Sting comes out, embraces Darby, confetti everywhere. It was Darby's hometown. Fantastic match. Darby is now the new TNT champion, the 2-time TNT champion. So the reign of Darby has begun, and I'm very curious to see where this is all going to lead in terms of Darby and the TNT championship. All right, guys. I'm done. I have no energy left. I'm so sorry. I apologize for being under the weather. I'm going to call tonight's stream. I'm going to cut tonight's stream for tonight. I hate to do it so abruptly, but I will see you guys next week with the review of AEW in Los Angeles at the Forum. Game 7 of the Elite versus Death Triangle. We're going to have that tag match. There's a lot of good stuff is going to happen next week, so should be a very newsworthy edition of Smells Like Wrasslin next week. So I want to thank all you guys for joining. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to take some Sudafed and go to sleep. Have a great night, guys.